Hi, I'm Gareth with Mountaincoffee Outdoors, and today I want to do a video, a little review video of the USGI Arctic Canteen, or the cold weather canteen. I've had this for a while. This is the canteen itself is the older version of this. They have a newer one apparently, which I've never actually seen. I think it's a little bit different shape. There seems to be some information out there about this canteen, which is, I think, a bit inaccurate, or at the very best, it's misleading. Because I had, from some of the things I watched and possibly read, I got certain impressions about this canteen, and when I got one myself, I started noticing that some of the stuff I don't think was quite accurate. So I've used it, I've kind of done some playing around with it to try to figure out some aspects of how this is constructed, or how it's designed. So I want to share that with you, and hopefully maybe give folks a little bit clearer picture of exactly what this canteen is and what it does. The first thing I want to talk about is the cover. This actually is not the cover for this particular model of the Arctic Canteen. This is the cover for the newer version, which is a little bit different shape apparently. The cover for this older version, I believe this older version was made in the 80s, but it is a canvas. It's like a thick canvas cover that it fits down into. The canvas itself probably provides a small amount of insulation, just, you know, as much insulation as a thick canvas can give you, which isn't much. This newer version, it's a nylon, and it actually has some like polyester fill in there for insulation. It gives it some loft, traps some air. So I'm sure without a doubt the newer canteen cover actually provides some insulation, which will somewhat help your water keep from freezing, at least a little bit, at least keep it from freezing a little bit longer that way. So overall, it's actually probably better to get the newer canteen cover for this. It fits in there pretty well. It slides in there just fine with the canteen cup. It has these two flaps. This one buttons down, and there's another flap that's supposed to go down, and you can bring it over the top like that, kind of cover it a little bit more. You can't really Velcro it down with this particular model because it's not really the right one, of course, but that's all right. I've used this without any problems. I think it works just fine. And like I said, it's actually probably a superior canteen cover, because the whole point of a Arctic canteen is to keep your water from freezing, obviously. So the canteen itself, let me pull this out, pull out the canteen cup. Obviously it's a different shape from the standard plastic or metal USGI canteens and canteen cups. The canteen cup itself, you know, obviously just fit to, or shaped to fit the canteen. It has the handle that flips up and locks in place. It actually locks in place as long as you don't flip it upside down. Just a little bit different shape, obviously. Works just fine. But that's the canteen cup. Not a whole lot to say about it. It's just kind of a standard canteen cup. You could definitely heat it up over a fire. Do pretty much all the same stuff you do with a regular canteen cup. Get the little lock up here and fold that down. Okay, the canteen itself. One attribute of this canteen is that it is made out of metal. So if your water were to freeze inside of this canteen, you would be able to put it over a fire to thaw it out. You would obviously have to take out everything on up top here that's not metal, otherwise it's going to melt or burn off. what this Canteen is, as far as I can tell from my kind of experimentation and checking into this thing, it's a double wall Canteen, but it is not vacuum insulated or anything like that. If you fill this thing full of boiling hot water, initially it is cool to the touch on the outside, but after a minute or so it gets pretty warm. So what that tells me is that there is a double wall in there, but it isn't insulated. So it's not like a thermos or something that's really going to keep your water warm and not from freezing for a long time. The stopper on this Canteen, it's a good design for cold weather use because it's not threaded. It just has a stopper. It's like a plastic or a nylon stopper. It fits in the opening there. And what that does is if it does get a little, water will freeze on this, obviously. It allows you to have a way to stop it up without having to worry about threads just freezing to where you can't even screw it on anymore. At the opening, there is a rubber, I don't know if you want to say a mouthpiece or whatever, but this does slip in and out. It comes out of the opening there. The whole thing does not have some sort of rubber liner. I have heard somebody make some comment that it has some sort of rubber liner. I believe that if they were implying that the whole thing inside there was rubber, that's not true. Maybe they just were talking about the little mouthpiece and it was just kind of misleading the way it sounded. I don't know. But this does come out. So yeah, if you want to heat it over the fire, you'd have to take this out and then take off the little tether of the cap, and then you would be able to heat it up over a fire. Obviously, due to the fact that this is a double wall construction, it's going to take a little bit longer to heat up over a fire because it's not going to transfer the heat inside there quite as efficiently as it would be if it was just single wall. Also, this rubber mouthpiece helps keep your lips from freezing to the metal when you're drinking out of it, which is very important in the cold weather. This Canteen, I used it last winter a number of times when it was very cold, and if you put water in there that's fairly warm to begin with, it will keep the water from freezing for a while. Eventually it will freeze because it's it's not insulated, and it's other than just having some trapped airspace in there. There's no actual insulation in there. The cover, this newer cover, does have some insulation, obviously, like I talked about before. So all that put together, it does keep your water from freezing in this unit longer than it would in another Canteen. If it was just a regular water bottle, it would begin freezing immediately. At least this obviously has a little bit more insulating properties to it, which helps keep the water from freezing for a while. If you're out in really cold conditions, one thing that obviously helps is keeping this wrapped up in a jacket or a sleeping bag or something in your pack. That can help keep it from freezing for quite a while if you did that. If you periodically drink water out of this and then replace it with like hot water, that would help warm it up, and kind of, obviously that would give you a longer amount of time before it's going to freeze again. But overall, it is a pretty good Canteen. It is a little bit, on the heavier, clunkier side of things. It does work. It does function as a Canteen, which will keep your water in a liquid form longer than other options would in very cold weather. But your water will freeze in this eventually. There's no doubt about that. If you were to carry water in a thermos, throw some hot water in a thermos, in the cold weather conditions, that'll keep from freezing for a lot longer than this would. And then overall, it might actually be a little bit more user-friendly in some ways. What it really comes down to is in extreme cold weather conditions, what I would say, Arctic or even like northern boreal forest winter conditions, if you want to keep your water in a liquid state, really your two best options are, one, to put it in a thermos, or two, to have a small, like flask-sized water bottle that you can like wear in a pouch around your neck underneath your clothing, so your body heat will keep it warm. And both of those things, you know, they're not going to freeze on you. Whereas, you know, anything like this eventually will. But this is a good piece of gear. Like I said, I wouldn't say it's exactly perfect or the most user-friendly thing in the world. But if you are looking for a Canteen, which will keep your water from freezing longer, you can definitely look into picking one of these up. I think I got this one for less than $20. It was brand new in the box and everything. I bought it from Coleman's Military Surplus. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the review. Hopefully that maybe answered some questions that folks have about this particular piece of gear. Hope that maybe clears up some confusion that I encountered when I looked into this piece of gear. But anyway, this is Gareth with Mountain Coffee Outdoors. I will see you next time.